All right, let's just get right into it. In this explainer, I'm going to give you some very blunt, Big Brother style advice about how to spot the early signs of betrayal and why it is absolutely crucial that you start trusting your gut. Today, we're looking at a piece of source material that is super raw and incredibly specific. It's a quick narrative, but man, it packs a massive punch when it comes to human behavior, deception, and those internal alarm bells we so often choose to silence. My whole goal here is to break down this exact scenario with you, so you can see the actual architecture of manipulation clearly without any of the usual distractions.
So tell me if this sounds familiar, bro. You ever get that weird feeling in your stomach, but you ignore it? We have all been there, right? It's exactly like noticing a slow leak in a boat, but you desperately try to convince yourself, nah, it's just condensation. You sense something is totally off, the math just isn't mathing, but you brush it aside because you're trying to protect your peace. You rationalize it. And that right there is the universal trap we're tackling today. The source material hits us with this hook right out of the gate because ignoring that first physical gut reaction, that is literally always mistake number one in the timeline of betrayal. We want to believe the best in people, so we end up suppressing our own internal warning system.
So let's look at how this actually works in practice. This is the decoy play, and we're going to break down this manipulation tactic step by step.
I want you to think of this like an emotional crime scene. We have to track the lies exactly as the source lays them out, starting from the very first red flag. Okay, step one. She casually mentions to a mutual friend about this rich guy who is ready to wife her up. And the crazy part, the source notes her literal backup plan is that if your performance in the bedroom is trash, she's just going to cheat. I mean, that is a massive, audacious piece of evidence right there. Then we hit step two. You confront her, and what happens? She cries, she swears it means nothing, and she promises to cut the guy off entirely. Sounds resolved, right? But then comes step three. Fast forward, and those call logs are still popping. And not only that, she's got his number memorized. Which brings us to step four, the ultimate reveal of the manipulation, leading us straight to the core concept of the decoy.
This right here brilliantly illustrates the stark, crazy contrast between a performance and reality. On one side, you have the act. She cries like her life depends on it, making these huge, tearful promises designed entirely just to pacify you. But on the other side, you have the cold, hard truth. Those hidden call logs are still popping. The guy's number is memorized. This is literally what cognitive dissonance looks like. It's that exact moment where someone's words and their actions completely diverge. And it's the exact moment your gut feeling is frantically trying to tell you which version of the story is the actual truth.
Now, here's where understanding the tactic gets really interesting. At the end of the narrative, the new boyfriend that the guy thought she left him for, that guy was just a decoy. Yep, the original rich guy from step one was actually there the whole time. And you know, this is the main difference between a partner just making a mistake and dealing with a professional manipulator. A manipulator will introduce a totally secondary issue, a decoy, just to take your eyes off the primary threat. You end up exhausting all your emotional energy fighting over the decoy, completely missing the fact that the original betrayal is still actively happening right under your nose. Which brings us to the most important part of this whole explainer. Trusting your instincts and actually listening to those warning signs. Look, here is the harsh lesson on how to respond when you find yourself in one of these situations. First, you have got to validate that gut feeling. Acknowledge the unease instead of just dismissing it as you being paranoid. Second, you need to protect your own mental peace by stopping the endless excuses for her behavior. Because if you ignore your intuition and just stay in this dynamic, the source material is brutally clear about what happens to you. You'll just find yourself sitting there making excuses for her while she smoothly secures her next option. You essentially become an active participant in your own deception because you're giving her the cover and the time she needs to execute that transfer.
So I need you to understand this. That uneasy feeling in your stomach is not paranoia. Not at all. It is a clear, blaring warning signal. Our source phrases it absolutely perfectly. That first uneasy feeling, that is your big brother in your head screaming, run. It's your own internal mentor, your pure survival instinct, looking at the massive discrepancy between the tears and the call logs and telling you to cut ties immediately. Get out before the decoy play completely wrecks you.
So, to maintain your dignity and exit a toxic dynamic with your head held high, I want you to leave with this final non-negotiable rule. Never ignore the first gut feeling. It sounds like the simplest advice in the world, doesn't it? Yet it is incredibly hard to follow when your emotions are fully invested in someone. So, the next time the math doesn't add up, the next time somebody's words don't match their hidden actions, you have to ask yourself, are you going to sit around making excuses for them, or are you going to listen to that voice in your head telling you to run?